Oh, the wolf is still here. It hasn't despawned. Okay, so that is a very strange occurrence. And the pry bar. I don't think we'll need the pry bar. Usually pry bars are useful around human settlements or human buildings. Because everything else tends to be unlocked. Okay, need that. So there's a few things you should always have before you set off on a trip. One is something to sleep on. A couple of cans for water. Make sure you have a fair amount of food. Some bandages, a bit of cloth just in case you get mauled. One of each type of medicine. Yeah, I'll keep that as an emergency. So means to start a fire, so definitely matches. Backed up by a mag lens, and usually at least one accelerant. Until you hit high levels of fire starting in survival mode. There's no skill point in story mode, so yeah, it's always good to have an accelerant. Accelerants basically make sure that you can start a fire quickly. So when you're being stalked by a wolf, yeah, you want to start a fire very quickly. And tinder, of course. And make sure that you're not carrying any extra clothing that you shouldn't. So in this case, I want to repair that. And then we want to get some sleep. Okay, let me consume that meat. I don't think MREs make you sick. There's still that soup over here. Yeah, so I don't want to carry all that. Actually, let's cook this. Yeah, so that's basically fully loaded up. I'm going to leave some of this, guys. Okay, so let me leave a few cans of fuel. I need to pull them out. Because those are quite heavy. But they're also quite visible. So the stuff you want to keep in storage is stuff that will not rot away. So clothing will eventually rot away, by the way. So any clothing that's in danger of rotting away, you want to leave it outside. That way you can always convert it back into cloth. But generally the stuff you want to leave in containers is small stuff. Like say, yeah, rose hips or this kind of stuff. The big stuff like say jerry cans, you can leave outside. Generally it's okay. That way you can spot it more easily. Yeah, take a bit of fuel as well. Is that good enough? Let's see. I don't think we'll be running short of food. Yes, I'll take a couple of kilos of meat as well. Just to keep us, just to tide us over. Okay, so that's that. Portable. And let's set about giving Grandma her food. Actually, let's see. What's her clothing like? 14. Everything's in decent state of repair. Yeah, so we're going to replace that. We're going to replace that, so that's alright. This is also... Okay, this one could use a bit of repair. This guy's... No, not yet. This guy will get replaced with the climbing socks. And the shoes... Oh, yes. So they're both 1 kilo. This one gives us 2 degrees. 2 degrees of warmth and 1.7 degrees of wind chill. And it's quite waterproof, so... Easily a no-brainer. Okay, so let's get ourselves a couple of bit more cloth. Just a couple of bits of cloth. Put away the shoes. And we'll set about repairing. Okay, so let's see. How long is this going to take to repair? 38 minutes. Okay, we need 1 cloth. And you. We could... Is it a good idea to repair that yet? No, okay, fine. Fine. Do that. Do that. Drink up a bit of water. And let's repair those socks. They've been sitting in that trunk since 1985. So yeah, they're in dire need of repair. This is a bit of a hint, by the way. This is a bit of a hint. So the rope's been, so that rope's been in there with the socks since 1985. Oh shit, that failed. Amazing. Alright. Alright, game. Alright. 95% chance of success and he failed. There you go. No, okay, fine. Alright, put away one of the socks. And we shall wear that climbing socks. Okay, so these guys are basically in mint condition both. So you can tell the difference. This one is 0.5. This one is 0.9. So 16 degrees and 5 degrees of windproofing. That will go up to about, I think, 19 or so, 18 or 19 once we get the hat and the mitts. And we'll also get a bit of a bonus from Grey Mother as well, so... Spoilers. Alright, that's good enough. Let's take a bit of food. Then we'll sleep for the evening. Okay, so what have we done so far? We came back from the farm. We finished off a couple of side quests. We're nearly ready to finish off a couple of others. So yes, the only things left are to give Granny the extra supplies, which we could do right now if we wanted to. And just find the truck. But the reason I'm not finishing this off yet is because we'll find a bit of food over here. There is a good chance it'll be rotten, so that means Granny gets it. She's got an iron gut. She'll be fine. Okay, it is morning now. Basically 7 AM. We got about 10 hours of sleep. So our energy is about just a shade over 3/4 full. Let's check out the weather outside. Oh, it's clear, but it's windy. So there's not much chance that we'll be able to keep a fire going. Not a -16 wind chill. Okay, so the things that we need to do is pick up a couple of guts. 1 cured guts. And there's a second one here. Yeah, there you go. So that means we have 3 cured guts. So in order to craft both the hat and the meat we got the 7 pelts and the 3 guts. Excellent. Then we have a couple of sewing kits. Do we have a fishing? No, we don't have fishing tackle. So you can craft your own sewing kits out of fishing hooks and guts. Anyway, let's see. Yeah, we should be good. Should be good. Do I have a few torches that I want to drop? No. Ah, sticks, yes.
I'm not sure I can carry much more.
I'll give Granny some sticks. Yeah, I'll give her a stick. Granny, why aren't you more generous? Why don't you give me a gun? There you go. I'll give her some stick. Hopefully that keeps her warm throughout the winter. Okay, so let's say about 3. How many hours is that? Yeah, well short. Yeah, still well short. So we'll give us some fuel later on, but yeah, it's cold right now. Okay, so let's see. Let me just step inside to get a bit warm while we eat. Now, you can carry... Cooked meat also gives you smell, by the way. So up to 2 pieces of cooked meat are fine. They give you no smell. But once you start picking up more pieces of cooked meat, it starts adding more smell to you. So let's see. If you pick that up, yep, that's a third. Okay, so let's see. 5, 6, 7. Oh, okay. Okay, so once you get up to 8, it gives you smell. Okay, gotcha. That's 9 actually. Yeah. It's 9. Bloody hell. That is a lot of... It wasn't like this before. But anyway, up to 2 is fine. Now what I want to do is I want to load up on water. Because food we have plenty of and we'll find over there. But water is a bit of a problem. That may be a bit too much water, but we'll be fine. Yeah, let's go. And of course, the headwind at minus 50. So normally if you're in a nice sheltered location, you want to rely on meat. But if you're traveling, you may want to stock up on things like cattails. And if you have cooking 5, then take whatever rotten food you have. As long as it's not meat, it doesn't attract predators. And that's the important thing. So normally what I do is I have a reserve of non-smelling food, plus a couple of kilos of meat when I set off on a trip. Remember, there could be wolves right beyond the ridge. So it's a good idea to actually be careful when your visibility is low. There is a back way. You can go up here, and there is a cave on the way that takes you to the trailer. May well do that actually. We've already looted this entire area, so yeah, let's do that. Yeah, let's do that. I'll go up this way. This is the alternate path back. There is a cave that we can shelter at. And also, has it calm? Oh, it's calmed down, okay. Right. Whenever the sun is out and it's calm, immediately start a fire. Immediately. It's a really great practice to get into. Because the weather can change at the drop of a coin. So yes, if it's... As soon as you can start a fire with the maglens, do so immediately. It's a great practice to get into. Yes, don't try to light... Actually, no, I could have lit the torches out of that, okay. Never mind. It's probably just good practice to get into the habit of just pulling torches instead of trying to light the torches. Bloody hell. It's gonna take me a while to get used to the new system. I hope to go back to the old one, because that was really useful. And I can't see any reason why I shouldn't be able to light a torch from a source of fire like a stove. That's kind of the whole point, isn't it? I don't know why that's happened.
This pack is getting kind of heavy.
They probably ran into some kind of bug with the new version of Unity. But I can't imagine that they did that deliberately. Anyway, that's the cave over there. So you want to have as many daylight hours. So you want to make sure that you have enough food and water to last you throughout the entire crafting process. Because otherwise you might end up losing a lot of health. So yes, the interior of the cave is warm. the mitts and the gloves are gonna take us about 8 hours. So 5 hours for the hat, I think, and 3.5 hours for the gloves. Or the other way around, either way. It's about 8.5 hours. So which means that you want as many daylight hours as possible. You can only craft during daylight hours, unfortunately, so yes. That's why we kind of set off early, really early. I was gonna check out the pond, but you know what? It doesn't really matter. There's nothing particularly useful over there. Okay, so we come back here. This is the back way to the trailer. And if you needed some rose hips, you could find them over here. There's a couple of portable toilets. Yes, you may have noticed that this guy never craps. He is severely constipated. He has to be, right? Okay, now we are safe, but we're not gonna get to keep this fire because we're gonna craft. We looted everything, right? So let's get on with it. Let me drop the water. It's a good idea to drop the water at a location that you can find in the dark. Okay, got meat. I'll drop the meat outside just so it preserves a little bit better. It won't make that much difference at this point, but you know, every little bit counts. Okay, fine. Let's begin. Right, so the hat takes 3.5 hours, but the mitts take 5 hours. Okay, gotcha. So 8.5 hours either way. We have quite a bit of daylight. So let's begin with the longer thing. 5 hours, yeah. And you will get tired, hungry, and thirsty. And the time will pass. We should have just enough time to craft both. Am I hungry? Oh no, we're not that hungry. The hat. Actually, so let's see. We have the mitts, right? 0.4, 0.1 kilo. 1 kilo but 2 degrees. And in order to fix it, you only need the rabbit skins. So basically, anything that you craft out of animal hides, you'll be able to fix with animal hides. So essentially, you should never need another pair of gloves. So now, let's get on with the hat. That has significantly worn away at the sewing kit, by the way. So if you play Survivor, it's a good idea to save up the sewing kits for crafting. And use the fishing tackles for mending clothing. Right, we have just enough of the resources. And of course, crafting can only be done at a specific workbench. In this case, this workbench. Forging can only be done at a specific forging location, which we can't see right now. But anyway. Just in time. Just in time. Maybe 1 hour more and we wouldn't have been able to do that. We still have a bit of energy. Let's spend it. So it's only just evening. Actually, you know what? Let's start a fire. Oh no, it's too late. It's too... Anyway, let's step outside. Let's check out the pond. I'll see if I can't pick up a few cattails over there. And also, it's a good idea to pick up the coal from here. There is a cave towards that side. Just because we have a bit of energy. And it is way too early to go to sleep. So if you're playing on Survivor, that pond that we'll see over the crest is one of those locations where the moose can spawn. Other than that, there's a whole bunch of bunnies, and there is a wolf on the road beyond that. but it's a good location to get sticks. And there's a whole bunch of cattails, so... So that little trailer is actually quite a useful base towards the north side of the map. I tend to use it as a bit of a rest stop before leaving the map towards that side.
It's dusk, so night can't be far behind.
Really? The logic is impeccable. And also, do I have... yeah, I have enough stones. So there should be a couple of bunnies. Yeah, there's a couple of bunnies over there. If we were desperate for food, then yeah, we could harvest those guys. So the bunnies take a few days to respawn. But if you set snares for them, that's irrespective of whether there's actual bunnies over there or not. So snares are actually very useful if you want to hunt bunnies. Okay, yep, another birch bark. They spawn randomly in the ground, and we could get these guys, but you shouldn't really need to use too many of those. The only time you ever have to use them is when you get attacked by an animal. And if you're careful, that shouldn't happen too often, right? Yeah, we got all that. Yep, there's the bunnies. Is there anything else? But rose hips and reishi teas are actually useful for warming up, so yeah. You definitely want to collect them. So the wolf could be on the road just there, so it pays to be careful. If it starts following you, then you can lure it towards the bunnies. And yes, unfortunately, you can sacrifice bunnies to the wolves. So it is getting pretty dark. Oh, and also I should probably wear my hat, right? Well, there you go. 1 degree. 1 degree of warmth. 0.15. Bit heavier, but 2 degrees, 1.5 degrees. And you don't need cloth to repair them. So that means you can keep them forever. So you do eventually run out of cloth, by the way, if you're playing on Survivor. Although I believe that it does spawn in certain locations by itself. But you do have to kind of scavenge for it. But yeah, generally speaking, the cloth that you can find around... I thought I heard a wolf. Generally speaking, the cloth that you can find around will eventually all run out. There's a wolf. I think. Could be a stump or maybe it's a wolf, I don't know. Or maybe it just hasn't spawned. There's a crow. Oh, okay, they're just passing through. So changeable weather, I guess. But like I said, I've never had that proved definitively. So we're now heading back to the trailer that's over there. But there is a cave over there. You can tell caves from the background by the different coloring. So you can see that this one's a deeper shade of whatever color the other ones are. I don't know why. Maybe that's deliberately done so you can spot them more easily. In survival mode, that leads to a different map towards the north. It may be a bit dark here. Hopefully not too dark. Okay, but on story mode, you find coals. These guys. Okay, hopefully there aren't too many. Hopefully there aren't too many in the darker areas. Because you can't see them over here, but... yeah, it doesn't look like it. So how many coals was that? That's about right, 8 coals. That's fairly typical. There are some locations, there are a couple of mines that you find in survival mode that give you about 20 something coals. I think we may walk through them at the end of episode 3. Anyway. There's also a couple of bunnies over here. Although they may have left for the evening. Yeah, they seem to disappear at night. But yeah, usually the bunnies are over there, around there. Ah, there you go. He was mocking me. So again, if you're desperate
to rest soon.
If you're desperate for food, then yeah, you can hunt those guys. So I think most experienced players end up memorizing the locations of the animal spawning points. So they kind of travel between locations where they can get food more easily. The reason why I personally don't lean towards roaming around and hunting just to keep yourself fed for the day is that the conditions may not be suitable to using a mag lens. Some people are just happy to use matches, but I'm not a fan of that. I try to conserve as many matches as I can. There are a couple of rose hips over here. Yeah, it's getting quite late. I should get some sleep. We want to get up and set off with as much energy as possible. Okay, let's head back in, feed ourselves with the meat and get some sleep. So today was a fairly short day as far as gameplay is concerned. Usually tends to be the case when you're crafting. And yes, interiors tend to get pretty dark. So it's a good idea to memorize the layout of the locations that you go to regularly. Okay, 33. Once we get up, we should be under capacity. Okay, that's fine. Let's sleep for 10 hours and see what happens. Okay, it doesn't sound like any kind of storm outside. Usually you can hear it there, you can hear the place rattling around. You can use this like I said before, and that may also highlight things like bottles. And you can use that to spot, yeah, those are 2 lockers. That's a door right there. Excellent. Okay, so it is clear, but windy and cold. Okay. I'm not even gonna bother with a torch. Yeah, I'm not even gonna bother with that. It may be a better idea to actually spend a couple of hours in the trailer and then set off. Because as you can see, our temperature is dropping very, very quickly. And also, by the way, yeah, because we crafted those two things, our warmth bonus is now 19 degrees. Which is still not enough to overcome this. So the wind is kind of nasty.
Looks like I made it through another night.
Yes, you did. Hopefully you make it through another day as well. It may have been a better idea to sleep another hour, but that's fine. Hopefully the wind does calm down and we can start a fire and light a torch. Oh, okay, so I probably should have dropped some of the sticks, but that's fine. Yep, there's the bunny over there. You can see it. Spotting things in the snow is actually quite nice. Now this should give us a bit of wind shelter. Perfect. So yes, still minus 29. So it's still quite cold, even in a wind shelter. So this is where things like teas come into it, right? Oh, actually, maybe I should start a fire and cook some teas. And warm up some teas, because I've got a few teas already. Yeah, maybe I should do that. I think the sun is out, right? So there's a bit of shelter. This should stop the wind putting it out. Yeah, so stick it in as far as possible. Ah, okay, so apparently it's cloudy. So apparently it's cloudy enough to stop me using the mag lens. That is nasty. Those are wolf tracks. Is that over there? Yeah, that's a wolf over there, I think. Okay, it's a little bit too cloudy. So the wolf that spawns here is very difficult to avoid. Because there's only one way to get through. You can kind of come this way, but that's not going to stop the wolf, unfortunately. It's a bit of a weird thing that if you harvest... So look at that. Now, if you have this screen up too long, that puts away the gun. And then you have to wait for the gun to come back out. It's a bit annoying. I don't know why it happens, but it really gets in the way when you're gathering stuff. Especially for really long animations like the bow. Okay, can we start a fire? No, not yet. So yes, as you can see, it's been about maybe 1 hour. And we're already about to go into freezing. This is why this trip can be dangerous. Oh shit, hopefully... Ah! Okay, I forgot about the cars. I don't believe there's anything particularly good. Yeah, I don't think there's anything particularly good there, but... even if there is, I probably wouldn't be taking it with me anyway, so... There you go. It's okay.
I need to find some place to escape this cold.
Yeah, the first time you go exploring anywhere, you should take your pry bar. You should take your full set of tools with you. It's only after you looted everything that you don't need things like the pry bar. Okay, let's come this way. That's a bridge over there, but there's a secret entrance that leads down to the river. And we can circle back to the bridge anyway, so not a big deal. And hopefully will get us out of the wind as well. So yeah, conditions can be nasty. Go. Yep, properly cloudy now. Yeah. Anyway, we are outside the wind. But we're still going into freezing mode, which is kind of okay for the time being. Just don't want to let it go too far. I don't know if I discussed hypothermia, but as long as you have any degree of hypothermia, you'll continue losing health. So yes, it's not just a question of getting out of the cold. It's a question of also getting rid of the hypothermia damage. So you can end up kind of dead.
So cold. Just want to lay down for a bit.
So you can end up dead if your health is very low. Just from the accrued damage of hypothermia. And if you let hypothermia get to 100%, then you'll pick up hypothermia. And then what will happen is that your energy will just drop like a stone. You'll have to sleep for a significant period indoors. So you basically have to waste a couple of days just recovering from that. But a little bit is okay. A little bit is okay. And the only thing that matters is whether you're below zero or not. So if you happen to go into zero heat like we are now, it doesn't matter how cold it is. Apparently you'll still pick up hypothermia risk and take health damage at the same rate as if it was, say, blizzarding. So yeah, right now we're suffering a minus 13. But let's say it was minus 40 or something like that. Apparently the amount of health damage you take is still the same. Which feels a little bit counterintuitive, but it is what it is. Okay, so I should have brought the pry bar. Yeah. Okay, I'm not gonna do this again. There's nothing particularly unique there anyway. So even if it's good, it's not particularly unique, so it's okay to leave it behind. So yes, in survival mode, there is a bear near the bridge, so you might have to... I once got trapped down here because the bear wouldn't leave me alone, and I basically froze to death. The bear wouldn't leave me alone, there's no other exits, and every time that I tried to sneak out, the bloody bear would turn around and just stalk me again. So I basically died here. Ever since then, I don't like this location. I just don't like it. Okay, there's a wooden log bridge over there. That's the bridge itself. And there's a corpse, which corresponds to that corpse over there. Oh yeah, so when you're freezing, you tremble. So things like your aim are much, much worse. I'm going to leave those guys around. I'm going to leave those guys behind. Okay, so let's cross over. That should take us to... This should loop us back to where we were before we explored the river. Okay, still taking quite a bit of damage. Yeah, it's about 28 degrees, but 20% rather. That's okay. A little bit of damage is gonna kill us. So one of the things I could and probably would have done if I didn't know where I was going is to start a fire, because I've got a couple of coals.
Now to find that secret stash.
Coal is able to defeat any kind of cold.
Aha! Here it is.
Yeah, so that's a second distress pistol right there. So the coals are able to defeat pretty much any kind of cold. And it's a bit warm. Actually, no, still a little bit cold. So a bit of a trick is to start the fire outside the car and then step into the car. And that way you can take advantage of all the warmth. So that's that. I won't be able to open any locked trunks. So if I was playing a survival mode and I didn't bring my pry bar, I would have been really upset. Because that would mean a second trip up here,
Could end up being useful.
But because we're gonna leave this place and not come back to it, I'm not too fussed about not getting everything. Okay, there's a tube. And I think that the peanut butter that we picked up, I think the supplies that we picked up are kind of rotten. Maybe here or maybe elsewhere. But I have found matches under the tires. So it is worth checking everything out thoroughly. Especially if you don't want to come back again, right? But yeah, if you're playing on Survivor, the only reason that I come up here is just to kill the bear. Just to kill the bear. Just for food. Generally, I would stop by the trailer and then go up into that cave that I showed you previously. Moldy, okay. That goes to Grandma.
This'll come
matches,
handy.
okay. Yep, and that's locked. This is something that was added recently. I don't think you can get fuel out of it though. Don't know why it's there. Maybe there was some plans for it for the future or something like that, but apparently there aren't going to be too many more free updates, so maybe it's part of a DLC or something. Somebody mentioned that if you have a jerry can in your inventory, apparently it fills up with fuel, but I tested it out and it didn't quite work. Anyway, that leads back down to where we were before we used the log and then came back this way. This is the final car. There is a possibility of a corpse over towards the end of the tunnel, but that's collapsed as well.
Excellent.
Okay, so I think that's about 2 trunks that we weren't able to inspect. Not the end of the world. But yes, the tunnel is collapsed up there. So I think back in the day there would have been... So before all of these happened...
To think.
So before all of these happened, there would have been a tunnel that the highway went through. So the timing of the earthquake is really strange. Some of the things that you read about imply that it happened a long time ago. But at the same time, things like the cars being on the highway kind of implies that the tunnels collapsed during the aurora. So that doesn't quite make any sense. Or maybe there were multiple earthquakes, right? Maybe there were. Anyway, if you go up here, there's a cave. That cave leads us back to the bunny groves that we went past when we were dying after the plane crash. We basically follow the cave through, climb back down to Grandmother's, and that's it. And how much? Yeah. Lots of hypothermia risk. Lots. So let's pick up some sticks, of course. And expose ourselves to the cold even further. Well done, me. But when I see sticks, I can't bear to leave them behind. Okay, so the interior is warm. We still have 60 something percent hypothermia risks that will drop down over time as long as our temperature is above 0. But as it drops down, it will still continue to eat away at our health. So I might end up with health at about halfway down. It kind of depends on the difficulty. This place is nicely lit, so I don't need a lantern. I do have one, but I don't need it right now. If you come here when it's dark, you'll definitely need it. So there are some caves where you actually need a lantern, regardless of what time of day it is. There are some that are relatively well lit. Here, there's a bit of coal, so we should find a bit of coal as well here. Is that... Okay, that's simply... They're both connected to the same location. And we're not the only ones who've tried to... We're not the only ones who tried to pass through these caves. There's a can and the torch. Excellent. So yes, somebody set up a campfire here. There's a bit of an interesting feature about the game. So normally you don't get a pointer. But when you get close to something that you can pick up, you can see that it will actually... The pointer will appear. So there. Anyway, lost in the storm. So apparently somebody was trying to escape. Not Lily, but Alice. So probably not related to Grandma.
This'll keep the lamp burning.
Excellent. So this is why I said to come here as light as possible. You pick up a lot of loot. And because you're overweight most of the time, that means that your energy drops like a stone.
This pack is getting too heavy to carry.
You can also use that trick that I showed you previously for the bedrolls. You can use this to navigate the caves that are dark as well. So you kind of use that. And, as I said before, we're not the only ones to try this cave. Right, here we go. There's a torch and a bedroll.
What have we here?
Now the thing is, how is it possible for someone to freeze when the interiors of the caves are automatically warm? Actually 14? Oh no, this is okay. So if we were naked, then yeah, this would be cold. Okay, fair enough. I get your point, game. Okay, hypothermia is dropped, but I think we'd continue losing a bit of health. Why is this? That's probably well fed, isn't it? Yeah, that's probably well fed. It's probably the health bonus from well fed. Okay, fine. Speaking of which, did I pick up all the meat? I may have left a bit of meat behind. Anyway, yeah, we picked that up at the supply cache. That's going to Grandma. That is going to Grandma. Same with that, and same with that. Okay, so this is why I didn't want to give Grandma the meat. And a second distress pistol, plus a few flares. Can probably drop that. Yeah. Now, I don't want to step outside when it's this cold. Alright, so let's see. Let me use this. We could sleep for an hour. No, probably not enough. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll pass the time. I didn't realize that this feature existed until a long time later. So you can pass the time in bed or in a sleeping roll, and it will give you an extra bit of bonus for warmth. Now the thing about sleeping versus passing the time is that you can cancel out of passing the time at any given point. So if I hit, yeah, like that. So if you hit escape, that will cancel it out. So the whole point of doing that was just to get warm. It does still wear away at your bedroll. But when you need to use it, you need to use it. Okay, it is... yeah, minus 15 cold. Minus 15 wind chill. We are not getting a torch out. I'm sorry to say. Okay, this is basically a one-way trip, by the way. So there are a number of those throughout the maps. Certain locations where you can only go one way. This is one of those. So once you leave that cave, you follow the path down. And you can see... yeah, and there you go. That's the pond that we came into. That's the first pond. The plane crashes over there. Okay, there's nothing up there that I care about. So the temperature has dropped quite a... yeah, temperature has improved quite a bit. But the wind chill is still quite nasty. Yeah, so as long as we're... yeah. We're okay as long as we're outside the wind. And hypothermia is still there. Oh my god, okay, so... I probably should have let a little bit more time pass. Anyway, so once you drop past this, there's no way to get back. Mackenzie or Astrid don't know how to jump, so that's it. This right here is a pond where we found the first signs of Astrid. The bunnies are still here, but I'm not going to bother harvesting them. Because we're not lacking for meat. So yes, this is the place where we first found the Astrid's campfire. And you can hunt the rabbits. But I'm not going to bother, and that way lies the plane crash. Yeah, it's not worth hunting the bunnies. We don't need their hides or pelts anymore. So you can drop down without going through the animation. And here we are, that's the antenna right there. This is the second pond. And we've already looted everything, so there's not much point looking around. Yeah, hypothermia risk is gone because we're above, because we still have a bit of warmth, and we did lose a fair bit of health there. A significant amount. There's a good chance that the cores of the cave near the antenna have regenerated. So, we can probably pick up 5 or so extra coals. And there's the cave. The interior should be warm. And I don't see any coals. We may just be a little bit too early. Maybe one more day would have been enough. I can't check the journal to see how many days it's been, but... yeah, the coals have not regenerated. So I'm guessing one more day and they would have come back. That's fine, no big deal. We've got the cache over there. We could take a bit of time to warm up here, but let me take some time to drink. Because apparently, food and drink in your gut doesn't count towards your carrying capacity. Okay, so we have 11 coals. 11? Okay, so we didn't find that many. 76. Okay, so that is quite heavy. Found a whole bunch of clothing. Whole bunch of food, and yeah, picked up a couple of things. What I'll do is, as I get closer to Granny's, the wolves don't come up all the way here, so we should be safe even if we don't have a torch. But let's get a little bit closer and then we'll set up a torch. Oh, it's a headwind. Oh, that's nasty. Headwinds are the worst. So if you end up playing on the higher difficulties, you'll notice that the game tends to give you more headwinds than not. It's almost calculated to be that way. I think it's almost deliberately programmed that way. But yeah, the world is deliberately nasty in the higher difficulties. You know what? I won't bother. I don't see any wolves. There could be some behind those trees and whatnot. There could be some over there. But worst case scenario, we can sprint. Now, one time when I was playing Survivor, I had that exact scenario happen. And I tried to sprint up and I got stuck on that And I got stuck on the little bit of railing that you see on the center of the screen. I was not happy. So yes, you can get stuck on the weirdest things in this game. So I think I got stuck here, yeah, like something like this. Or I got stuck here, one of those. It could have been here. Yeah, I think I was stuck there, on that little railing that sticks out. And I died. Not happy. Okay, let's give Granny the sticks. Let's. Unfortunately, you can't type how many you want to put in there. Let's keep it 50. 20. Okay, so yeah, she definitely needs everything. Let me keep one stick. 31. Okay, so we're pretty close. Done.
I need to find food.
Okay, I can't speak to her anymore. Okay, so we'll give all the rotten food to Granny.
Gear.
Yes, it does. Unfortunately, too much for me to carry all the way out. Okay, if anything that's below 50, Granny gets it immediately. Except the MREs. Okay, fine. Peanut butter. The soft drinks don't seem to make you sick, neither do salty crackers. Alright, so she has 14,000 calories. Let's see, how many sticks do I have here? She needs about 5 hours. 4 or 5 hours. Let's give her... yeah, let's give her this. Let me give it this too. And one of these guys.
I can barely walk with this much gear.
Okay, so she needs about 14,000 calories. Okay, let's check out what we have. There's a wall coming. That was possibly a bad decision. 16,000. Okay. Oh shit! That thing was outside. Okay. Ooh, this is why it's risky to step out. Oh, actually, I forgot about this, guys. Let's see. But yes, you do want to let a little bit of time pass before stepping back out. That should be it, right? There you go. Anyway, so, can't speak to her, but... yeah, it's a Mackinac jacket. That is a Mackinac jacket. That is pretty damn good. So, nice warmth. Hard to compare, but I think these guys that I'm wearing now will have better, yeah, they'll have better windproofing. Okay, let's see. Let's sleep for about 9 hours. Can't see nothing. Yeah, there's the exit. Okay, so it is basically the middle of the night. Unfortunately, not the best time to set off, but we should set off while we have enough energy. Maybe it will actually be nice and calm outside. Who knows? Okay, get rid of that. 37, okay. That's looking decent. Oh, the wolf is still here. It hasn't despawned. Okay, so... no stones either. So let's sneak away from it. That thing... that is weird. Usually wolves... unless they ate some of these. No, it shouldn't have. That is a very strange occurrence. For the wolves to be hanging out outside the building for hours and hours, yeah. Anyway, it is decently warm, so you know what? I'm okay. Let's go. So let's be careful. Because like I said before, wolves that stalk you in the evening will not bark. Apparently wolves that howl will get responses from other wolves. So you can use that to spot them as well. No wolves this way apparently. So yes, temperature is quite good. We can still leave, not a problem. Want to be careful. So by the way, our clothing, yeah, still 19, so it doesn't give us that much benefit, but it is better than what we had before. For once in my life, I would not bother picking up fuel because I'll have to dump it anyway, so it's not worth my time and effort. Okay, let me skirt this. I don't want to run into a wolf there. And besides, we have to go that way anyway, so. And yeah, check your 6 every so often. Keep an ear out for any crunching sounds or footsteps in the snow other than your own. And also, it's not a bad idea to actually zigzag, just so you can see things behind the trees. There should be no wolves that way unless one got pulled towards the bunnies. Wait, I hear something. Kind of sound like a wolf feeding or something. So yeah, it's not a bad idea to pause every so often. I heard something. Sounds like a wolf feeding. Okay, that's fine. And give this a wide berth, just in case there's something behind the wall here. Okay, we should be good. Usually the wolves don't come up this way, so... But they can follow you up here. They just won't spawn up here. Alright, we're pretty damn close to being done with this episode. Okay, so I am still overweight. Let's drink up as much as possible. And dump it. You can always make more water. Torches. Dump, 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 dump. 35.6. Okay. That is nasty. But as light as it can be. And as Mackenzie said, I feel like we're not coming back this way again. Remember, this rope has been in that trunk since 1985.
I feel like I'm gonna die.
Yeah.
What the hell? I guess that rope was older than it looked.
It's from the 80s, man. It's got the funky neon 80s look. But anyway, we need to get out of here. Now the problem is that we also pick up a bit of loot as well. There is a fire from good old Methuselah. You're gonna meet him regularly as you play the episodes. He's gonna be there to provide us a warming fire. I'm not gonna bother with sticks again. And you can steal his can. Yes, so it's okay to it's okay to throw away both your cans, and take his cup of coffee, and take his cooked rabbit. You can also use this to cook any water if you need it.
So, we meet again.
This what you do? Hang around campfires and share wisdom?
These are confusing times. Let me see if I can help you make sense of them. I am an old man. I've seen many things. Some would say too many. I've seen this happen before. We've sinned. Now we're paying the price.
Are you talking about religion?
Not religion. Redemption.
Is this about the lights in the sky?
The lights in the sky are a reckoning. The wonder of humanity and all its creations laid bare. Her warnings went unheeded.
Whose warnings?
Mother Nature's. The signs were there for those willing to see them. This has all happened before. Soon we'll all be tested. We'll have to choose how far we'll go to survive.
What do you mean this has happened before?
Big change is coming. Are you ready to face it?
I'm no hero. I'm just looking for someone. Doing my best to survive in the meantime.
The end of Milton's story is a sad one. Too many people lost after already too much suffering. You chose to take mercy. To save a life that probably didn't deserve to be saved.
You mean the convict? How'd you know about that?
Whispers in the wind.
That bastard deserved to die, all right. But it's not for me to pass judgment on that.
Let's hope you hold on to your merciful ways, and the new world doesn't just grind you to dust.
Look, my friend is out there. I'm gonna find her, and then we're gonna get out of here. The power's gonna come back. They'll get the roads back open, Milton will recover. Everything will go back to being the way it's supposed to be.
How do you know this isn't how things are supposed to be?
Good luck, old man. Enjoy your apocalypse.
You keep your luck, stranger. I have a feeling you're going to need it.
Prophetic bastard. So if you wanted to, you could actually sleep here. Just lay a bedroll and just sleep. This fire and this guy will be here until you leave the vicinity. Can't speak to him anymore. But yeah, so Methuselah will be there every so often. So the fire you should take advantage of in order to warm up. We could sleep to get more energy, but I won't do that. What I'll do is we'll drink that cup of coffee that we just got from that guy. Let's see, 36 kilos. Now, if you come here a survivor, there's a good chance of a wolf down there. And there are bunnies. But there is also a cave over there, as you can see. Different coloring. And there is a climbing rope somewhere over there. Probably there, yeah. So unfortunately, you have to make two climbs, one down and one up. And as you saw, we actually lost a lot of energy climbing down. Climbing up is far worse though. Climbing up is far worse. Okay, so there's a cave to shelter in if you need it. There's a bit of firewood. Let me actually use a lantern. Just so I don't miss out on anything. Okay, there's nothing towards the back. Yeah, so it's just a bedroll and a backpack.
Wonder if this is any good to eat.
Okay, so now we're definitely overweight. We'll drink up some coffee before we climb and then we should be fine. There's a whole bunch of more bunnies over here. So if you wanted to cook them on Methuselah's fire, which I think is probably gone by now. Yeah. So if you come here in story mode, you can actually hunt the bunnies and then cook them in the cave. That's a rope. Probably not Lily's. Ah, okay, so he's still there. Okay. So he's still there for the time being. So if you were desperate for food or anything like that, then yeah, you should definitely do that. No. One of the big tips for climbing is that you should drink coffee. What it does is it gives you a bonus. Fatigue reduced. So maybe that wasn't a full cup of coffee. But anyway, for the next 37 minutes. So for the next 37 minutes, we'll take less damage to our energy from any activity, such as climbing. So yes, normally if you were climbing with a heavy backpack, you would lose so much energy that it wouldn't be funny. We're talking about one climb and then you have to sleep the entire day or something. But that's where coffee comes in. Bit of a hidden tip. Look at that. We barely lost any energy. That is amazing. So when you climb, you have to take into account both stamina. Let's see. It doesn't quite show it. Let's see. Yeah, there. Stamina and energy. If you run out of stamina, your energy will be drained much faster. So ideally you want to start climbing when you have full stamina. And ideally you want to start off with as much energy as possible, especially for some of the longer climbs. In this case, that wasn't the biggest climb you'll ever see. There are some really nasty ones out there in the world. That's where coffee becomes really precious. You can't drink coffee just to keep your stamina up, but it's best reserved for things like climbing. And if you absolutely have to, you can use one of these guys. It will give you unlimited, I think it's either stamina or energy. And basically you can make any climb. But those emergency stims are so rare that generally speaking you should save them for life or death situations. But there are a few instances when you absolutely have to make the climb. There are a few more cattails over here, I believe. Not a huge amount. But because there aren't any more climbs, we should be fine. So, yeah. So I think we'll have to pick up another can somewhere.
Cold is making my head feel thick.
Yeah, and it doesn't last very long. That's why coffee is best used for climbs, or the short, high-intensity activities. Okay, we're gonna get cold, but that's fine. There'll be a nice, toasty, warm cave pretty soon. And besides, this is the end of the episode, so any damage you take won't carry further into the episode 2.
I've never felt so cold in my life.
He keeps saying that, but I don't believe him. I don't believe him. Because the thing is, he gets this cold pretty regularly, so come on Mackenzie, don't be so soft. And you can't do anything with the water. You can't even get drinkable water out of that, by the way. Which is a bit of a shame. I always imagined that you could stick a cup in there and just get some water. Maybe you have to boil it, right? But it should be drinkable. Okay, now this cave is pretty dark, unfortunately. If you come here during daytime, it should be okay, but it is kind of dark. Okay, there should be a bit of loot around.
Too heavy.
That's okay. And normally you should be able to find about 5 or so coals in this cave. So usually coals respawn once a week. So it's always a good idea in Survivor to go touring for coal. Go to caves regularly, pick up coal, stock up, and supplement that with sticks. Because when you need coal, you really need it. Oh yeah. So it took me a while to understand this, and I only picked it up because someone else showed me that coal is so important. There are lots of hidden little tricks there that you have to understand in order to survive on the hardest difficulties. But coal is a lifesaver. 2 coals basically, doesn't matter how cold the world is, 2 coals are enough to keep you warm. Okay, now this lantern is about to run out of fuel, but that's fine. We're pretty close to the exit anyway. How many coals did I pick up then? We'll have to check that out. Is that coal? No. It's not a bad idea to look back, just in case you missed something. Just behind one of those columns, there could have been something interesting. Flare, good. So don't end up using too many flares, but they are a finite resource, so you don't want to be using them too regularly. On the other hand, torches, you can pretty much get at will, so yeah. It's always better to use torches rather than flares. That's the exit right there. That's the exit. I may wanna, yeah, let's put out the lantern before we leave. You can still see the exit, or you can use that trick that I showed you before, bedroll. And as we get closer, leave the cave. And there you go, folks. That is the end of episode 1. There are a total of 4 episodes that have been published so far, with a 5th coming up. We don't know exactly when, but in the fullness of time, apparently. So yes, by now you should understand how to play the game. If you use some of the tips and tricks that I showed you, you should be able to pretty much deal with the highest difficulty of story mode without too much trouble. Similarly, you should be able to play Survivor up to about Stalker level without too much difficulty if you follow the advice that I gave you. Interloper does have its own unique properties, so that's a whole different kettle of fish. But up to Stalker, it's not too difficult. Once you play the game a little bit, and once you understand some of those tricks, you should be able to play up to about day 500 without too much trouble. But like I said, Interloper is a whole different kettle of fish. The world gets a lot colder over 50 days, and you have to basically craft clothing out of animal pelts like bear and moose hides. Otherwise, you will not be able to survive. Anyway, if there is enough interest, I may come back with episode 2, or perhaps a survival run. But anyway, thank you very much for being here. I hope you learned something from my approach, and I hope you have fun. Thank you very much, and goodbye. Thanks for watching all the way to the end. Let me know what you thought about it in the comments. Feel free to leave a like, subscribe and hit the bell button to be notified when new videos come out. See you soon.